Morning YouTube. I'm here not in Cheshire, Gary, I'm here in Cheshire, and I wanted to make a little bit of a video in relation to some of the not art videos I've been making lately. The Crowfucker one, the one with the dead swan, and some of the others that aren't that aren't offending people, but that are kind of arty, I guess. And I'm not trying to explain anything, and certainly not trying to explain anything away, other than I'm trying to explain things to myself and understand things a bit better. So this is the first in a bunch of videos I'm going to try to make over the next few weeks to see if I can just kind of think myself into understanding what I'm doing, really. And if it helps and other people understand, that'd be great. So in this one I want to think about expressivity. I tried to make a video about this a while back, but I couldn't really get to what I was on about, really. And it's to do with expressivity, because being expressive is weird. I mean, I work in the arts and we never use the term expressive in the arts anymore. Other people might, but certainly the area that I work in, it's just not a fashionable term, really, because it sounds all terribly like early 20th century. It all sounds like psychological, that the role of an artist, the role of anybody, is to express themselves, you know what I mean? Like, we've got this essential self that you try to express, like expressing puss from a spot, It's it has that ring to it, and I think it's and if that was what it meant, I think it would be quite rightly given all kind of negative connotations, because it is really self-indulgent, isn't it? To think that the insides of someone's psyche are so important and so interesting that you have to squeeze them out and express them in public. That would be not great. But I'm kind of thinking about a different understanding of expression, or expressivity, which I think is perhaps more useful in some ways, and which perhaps has a different model of what a psyche is, and what a person is, and what a self is, and what a mind is. Which isn't that, as I say, that early 20th century Freudian psychoanalytic depth psychology model of what a mind is, where you reach down into the sump of your unconscious and pull stuff forth, but it's perhaps more collective and saturated with media and saturated with language and knowledge and scientific knowledge and poetic knowledge and those things. God, sorry. So anyway, so what does it mean to be expressive in that context? And what are the borders of okay, let me just see what I want to get to. The first thing I want to get to is the idea that everybody is expressive. Expressivity is unavoidable. In fact, not just everybody, but everything is expressive. And I'm drawing on Manuel de Landa and Deleuze and Guattari here. I'll see if I can refer to those people specifically. But if not, I guess I'm just putting down a bookmark in my mind about them. Everything and everybody is expressive. Phoebe is expressive, the trees are expressive, the grass is expressive, I am expressive, you're expressive, the camera is expressive. So that's the first thing I want to get to. And the second thing is to do with what is being expressed. If it's not this reaching down into the sump and pulling forth the evidence of the darkness in your psychology, if it's not that, particularly when so-called geniuses do it, if it's not that, what is being expressed? Okay, so the first part of that, this everything is expressive. Yeah, I mean, this draws on an essay by Deleuze and Guattari called The Geology of Morals, I think it's called, I can't remember now, something like that. Where they're talking about expression and expressivity in the natural world. And what they're basically saying is something like a mountain is expressive. Do you know what? It's weird, I've just realised. I said I made one about this topic a while back, and it was in exactly this spot. I did this exact same trajectory through this path. I must be walking through the same memory. What they say is that everything, a mountain, is expressive, and what it's expressing is the laws of nature that make it up. It's expressing the ecology of the system, it's expressing the environmental conditions, it's expressing tectonic movements, it's expressing erosion. These forces are being expressed in the shape of the mountain and the carving out of the valleys and so on. Just because there's no person behind it. you know, it evacuates the person from it, and that kind of mystique of the kind of gifted or possessed individual, and replaces it with forces. And in that case, it's the dumb forces of, as I say, erosion and ecology and evolution and hydraulics and all that kind of stuff. And in the animal kingdom, they say, and this is Manuel de Landa building out of their work, he says, you know, this is expressive. So he talks about bowerbirds. And there's lots of different bowerbirds. Bowerbirds, you know, make bowers. They make little environmental sculptures, and then the males do, and then do a little dance to attract the females. But there's a number of different types of bowerbirds, and they make a number of different types of bowers. And some of the bowerbirds have got very brilliant plumage, you know, very brilliant plumage, and they don't build their own plumage. It's just the forces of nature working through them, not ecological and environmental forces, but the forces of genetics and the forces of, you know, all those kind of things. They've got very brilliant plumage, and they make comparatively plain, simple bowers to dance in. Some other species of bowerbirds have got much more dull plumage, and they make much more complex and more attractive and more fully decorated bowers. So it's almost as if they're outsourcing their expressivity, outsourcing their natural expressivity, which in their cousins is displayed in their plumage. It's almost as if these duller ones are outsourcing that expressivity onto the environment. Do you know what I mean? So it's still a kind of a natural force, because you wouldn't say that a bird was, you know, they're just working on instinct. They don't learn how to do this stuff. So it's still a kind of natural process, but now it's no longer located in the bird. It's located in their extended phenotype of the bower that they construct. And then of course you get onto humans, and humans are the same trajectory, you know, from mountains to beautifully plumaged bowerbirds to more simply plumaged bowerbirds that outsource expressivity onto the environment. Humans constantly outsourcing their expressivity onto the environment. You know, they've got the same stuff. We've got the same stuff working through us, you know, expressed in things like our skin colour and our eye colour, and the way our joints work, and the way the pupils of our eye contract and expand in according to light levels, and the pumping of our blood and the growth of our hair. All this stuff is the natural forces being expressed in this carapace. But in addition to that, we also outsource that. You know, we get our hair cut in certain ways. We put treatments on our skin. You know, we put glasses on our eyes to change the focal length of these things. We do all this stuff. We make gestures with our hands like the one I'm making. You know, so some partly it's natural, and those forces just being expressed in the being of our body. But not so much of it is outsourced now. You know, it's a constant bower that we're making for ourselves. Sometimes to dance in, to attract mates for sure, but sometimes for other purposes as well. I mean, we can't stop doing it, you know what I mean? So even if we're not making YouTube videos or wearing funny rabbit ears or shit like that, painting pictures, writing stories, getting tattoos, even if we're not doing that, just walking down the street, just buying a pair of jeans, just getting a haircut, just deciding, you know, which soap to buy. These are the inevitable outsourcing of natural expressivity into the world around us and the bower that we're creating. So I just see it as that, you know, I just see it as part of that. I place what I do as part of, in that spectrum. I'll just push it out a bit further, you know what I mean? I don't really connect in my mind distinctly what I'm doing with these rabbit videos, for example, to a kind of art historical story, or to other artists. I can see a relationship if I chose to, but that's not where I'm at with that. It's about taking this dowdy body and making a more expressive bower, pushing the expressivity out, naturalising it. It feels so natural to me to do that now. You know what I mean? It feels just completely natural if you put a camera down and do something fucking weird. Because it's like a natural force. It's just like a river carving a valley. Okay, so that's my take on the first bit of that, expressivity, what I mean by that. That it's not, I'm not reaching, okay, so, yeah, it's about that. The second thing is what is being expressed. If that old idea, that old psychoanalytic model of what a self was, and expressing oneself meant reaching down into the stump and pulling forward and spilling your guts and squeezing your pimples in public and doing all that kind of thing. If that is kind of off the table, which I think it should be, then what is being expressed? What are all these haircuts and glasses wearing and makeup and skin treatments and gestures and pictures we paint and ways of moving and dancing that we have and rabbit ears that we put on? What is all that stuff? What is being expressed there? And for me, it's God, it's so hard to explain. It's about what I said in a previous video when I was talking about the Crowfucker video. For me, it's about an expression of this thing, the world, actually. You know, where yourself is partly an internalisation and a treatment of the world. You know, it's other people's videos. It's cultural and social and political and historical events that are taking place around you. It's gaps and discontinuities in those things that you might want to place something in the middle of, and finding ways to join things together, and at other times finding ways to tear things apart so they can be looked at new. You know, what I feel is in need of expression, and which I feel myself moving towards the expression of, is those things. You know, the white spaces that lie between the words, the middle term in these series of arguments, the gaps between individual feeling and theoretical distanced ideas, first person and third person, you know, approaches. I've run out of steam. I just felt the steam run out of me. Yeah, so that's one go around at it. Sorry if this sounds self-indulgent. I guess it probably does, but I'm trying to think into this for my own purposes, as well as trying to justify anything that appears a little bit strange in some of the stuff I do. Anyhow, it's very nice here in Cheshire today. Look, there's the trees. Who'd have thought there could be so many trees?